Before you quit. Before you tell yourself, maybe it wasn't meant for me. Before you quietly fold the blueprint of the life you once imagined. Listen carefully. Most dreams don't die from impossibility. They die from interruption. They die from delay. They die from doubt. And far too often, they are aborted seconds before the breakthrough. Not because the dream was wrong, but because the dreamer got tired of carrying what no one else could see. So if you feel exhausted, if progress feels invisible, if you're starting to question whether the dream chose the wrong person, this message is for you. Because what you are experiencing right now is not a sign to stop. It is often the final resistance before expansion. And if you understand what's really happening in this phase, you won't walk away. You'll walk through. By the end of this, you will understand why the hardest phase of any dream looks like failure. The silent mistake that causes people to quit too early. How to tell the difference between a dream that's testing you and one that's misaligned. And the mindset shift that turns fragile ambition into unstoppable momentum. But first, let me tell you something most people never realize. Dreams are supposed to feel heavy. We love the idea of dreams. We celebrate the highlight reel. But nobody prepares you for the wait. Because a real dream is not just an idea. It is a responsibility. The moment a dream enters your life, it quietly asks, are you willing to become someone you've never been? And that transformation is uncomfortable. You will outgrow habits, outgrow environments, sometimes even outgrow people. Not because you think you're better, but because the version of you that can hold the dream requires more space, more discipline, more courage, and growth always stretches before it strengthens. So when the journey feels heavy, that is not a warning sign. It is evidence that you are lifting something meaningful. The illusion of no progress. Here is where many people panic. They expect progress to be loud, obvious, applauded. But real progress is often silent. Think about how a seed grows. Underground, invisible. For weeks, sometimes months, nothing appears to be happening. If the seed could talk, it might say, did I fail? But what looks like inactivity is actually preparation. Roots are forming. Strength is building. The structure needed to support future growth is being created. Your life works the same way. Not every season is meant for showing. Some seasons are meant for becoming. So if you feel unseen, it doesn't mean you're stagnant. It may mean you are developing the foundation that your future requires. And foundations are never glamorous. But without them, nothing stands. The dangerous moment right before success. There is a phase almost every dreamer encounters. I call it the threshold of discouragement. It's the moment when effort feels unmatched, results feel delayed, motivation dips, and comparison gets louder. Your mind starts negotiating. Maybe I should choose something easier. Maybe this is unrealistic. Maybe I waited too long. But here's what most people don't know. Resistance often spikes right before expansion. Not because the path is closing, but because you are approaching unfamiliar territory. The brain prefers certainty, even if that certainty keeps you small. So when your dream starts pulling you toward growth, your comfort zone pushes back hard. This internal friction is not proof that you should stop. It is often proof that you are getting closer than you think. Why people abort their dreams. Let's be honest. People rarely quit in dramatic fashion. Most don't announce it. They don't make a big decision. Instead, they slowly disengage. They stop trying as hard. Stop showing up as consistently. Stop believing as deeply. Until one day the dream becomes a memory instead of a mission. And the most common reasons? 1. They expected it to happen faster. We live in a world obsessed with immediacy. But meaningful things take time. Skills take time. Trust takes time. Mastery takes time. Rushing growth often weakens it. 2. They compared their beginning to someone else's middle. Comparison distorts perception. You see someone thriving, but you don't see the years they spent struggling quietly. Stay focused on your lane. Speed is irrelevant if you stop moving. 3. They mistook discomfort for misalignment. Not every hard moment means you're on the wrong path. Sometimes it simply means you're stretching. Learning the difference is life-changing. Because if you quit every time it gets uncomfortable, you will never stay anywhere long enough to transform. A question that changes everything. When you feel like giving up, ask yourself this: am I truly done, or am I just tired? Tiredness asks for rest, not surrender. There is no shame in pausing. Recovery is part of endurance. Even the strongest athletes don't train nonstop. But resting is different from abandoning. Rest says, I will continue, just not from exhaustion. Quitting says, I no longer believe this is possible. Learn to recognize the difference. Because many dreams weren't impossible. They were simply pursued by someone who never allowed themselves to recover. The identity shift. Here's the deeper truth. Dreams don't just change your life. They change your identity. At first, you chase the dream. Eventually, you become the person who naturally aligns with it. But identity shifts are uncomfortable. Your old self will try to pull you backward. Old doubts, old narratives, old limits. You might even hear an inner voice whisper, who do you think you are? Answer it calmly. Someone who is growing. Because confidence is not required at the start. Only willingness. Confidence is built through evidence. And evidence is built through action. Small, consistent action. Again and again. The myth of perfect timing. Many people postpone their dreams waiting for the right moment. More money, more clarity, more support, less fear. But perfect conditions are rare. Growth usually begins in imperfect environments. Start where you are. Use what you have. Refine as you go. Momentum creates clarity far better than overthinking ever will. Remember, you don't have to see the entire staircase. Just take the next step. When no one understands. There may be seasons when people don't fully understand your vision. Not because they want to discourage you, but because they can only see from their perspective. And your dream was given to you, not them. Expecting universal validation is a fast path to disappointment. Instead, build quiet self-trust. Let your commitment become louder than outside opinions. Because approval is encouraging, but it is not required for progress. Some of the most impactful journeys began with one person believing, and that person was the dreamer. The power of staying. There is a rare strength in people who stay. Stay committed. Stay patient. Stay adaptable. Staying doesn't mean refusing to evolve. It means refusing to abandon what truly matters. Think about this. Almost everyone starts inspired. Far fewer continue when it becomes inconvenient. And very few persist long enough to see the compound effect of consistency. But those who do often appear overnight successful. What the world calls sudden was actually sustained. So if you want to separate yourself quietly, master the art of staying. Signs you should not quit. If you're unsure whether to keep going, look for these signals. The dream still excites you, even on hard days. You feel stretched, not diminished. You are learning, even when outcomes are slow. You can envision who you're becoming through the process. Difficulty alone is not a stop sign. Sometimes it's confirmation that you are engaged in something meaningful. Protecting your dream. Not every thought deserves access to your future. Guard your mental environment. Limit the noise that feeds doubt. Spend more time with ideas that expand you. And be mindful of how you speak to yourself. Replace What if I fail? With, what might happen if I stay? Language shapes belief. Belief shapes behavior. Behavior shapes destiny. The quiet, compounding effect. Here is something remarkable. Small efforts, repeated daily, become powerful. 1 hour of focused work. One brave conversation. One improvement. One adjustment. It doesn't look dramatic in the moment, but over time, it becomes transformation. Mountains are climbed step by step. Books are written page by page. Skills are mastered practice by practice. Never underestimate what steady commitment can build. Future you is watching. Imagine meeting your future self. The version of you who stayed, who adapted, who kept learning, who didn't abort the dream during the difficult chapter. What would they say? Probably something simple. Thank you for not stopping. Every choice you make today is introducing you to that future. Choose in their favor. Redefining failure. Failure is often misunderstood. It is rarely the opposite of success. More often, it is part of the path toward it. Attempts teach. Adjustments refine. Setbacks redirect attention to what needs strengthening. The only true failure is deciding the story ends before it has the chance to unfold. As long as you are learning, you are not losing. You are evolving. One more step. If this season feels uncertain, don't demand a lifetime of clarity. Just take one more step, then another. Progress is less about giant leaps and more about gentle persistence. You don't need extraordinary motivation. You need quiet determination. Show up. Do what you can. Improve what you can. Trust that movement, however small, keeps the dream alive. Listen carefully. The world does not need more abandoned potential. It needs people who honor what was placed inside them. Your dream arrived for a reason, not to pressure you, but to invite you into growth you might never have chosen otherwise. Yes, the road will test you. Yes, there will be moments of doubt. But don't confuse difficulty with destiny telling you no. Sometimes difficulty is destiny asking, how committed are you? And every time you continue, you answer. So before you walk away, pause, breathe. Remember why you started. Remember who you are becoming. Remember that many breakthroughs happen quietly, just beyond the moment people usually quit. Do not abort something that still has life. Do not silence a vision that continues to call you forward. You are allowed to move slower, allowed to adjust, allowed to rest. But don't disappear from your own story. Stay, grow, refine, continue. Because one day, what feels heavy now may become the very thing that lifted your life. Years from now, you won't regret the effort. You won't regret the patience. You won't regret the courage it took to keep going. The deeper regret would be wondering, what might have happened if I hadn't stopped? So if the dream still whispers, if it still nudges you forward, if it still sparks something steady inside you, protect it, nurture it, walk with it, and above all, don't abort your dream. Grow quietly. Rise daily.